Welcome to Event Tech Talks with me, Rob Vass from Joy. And today we are going to ask the very important question: how important is it to understand event technology to advance your career as an event professional? And to help us answer that question, we're really lucky to have a fabulous panel. From the agency side, we have Alexandra Weller, Head of Event Services for RNX, one of Australia's largest and longest standing PCOs, built not only on fabulous customer service, but also on being at the forefront of tech adoption. Welcome, Alexandra.
Thank you.
From client side, we have Stuart Frank. Stuart must have one of the most coveted event jobs in the world. Senior Director, Strategic Events at Salesforce. And I say that because as an organization, and I love this about Salesforce, they're renowned for their live events. They set the bar and the rest of us follow. Welcome, Stuart.
Thank you.
And quick question, Stuart, because I love this, Dreamforce. How many people attended Dreamforce last year?
45,000 people in person, 135,000 online.
That is a huge event.
It is.
That's fantastic. And also we've got joining us remotely from the supplier side, David Hayes from McDowell, CEO and founder of Jomablue event management software. David actually started his career in marketing with Microsoft. He then started an agency, and in 2014 decided the world really needed a better event management tech solution, so they created a very beautiful piece of software called Jomablue. Welcome, David.
Thanks, good to be here.
So, let's get into it. First question. This isn't for David, because David, as an owner of event tech company, really lives and breathes event tech. But how critical has it been to have a good understanding of event technology in your roles? Alexandra, ask you first, and not only is your current role of Head of Event Services, but also your previous role of Head of Digital Events for Hayes & Wade, and I think that was in the pandemic period as well. So how important has that understanding of event technology been for you?
It's incredibly important. You need to keep up with the ever-developing event technology. So it's easy to have an understanding of it 5 years ago. It's completely different to what it is today. So when I was at Hanson Wade over in the UK during COVID, we had to very, very quickly, as we all did, pivot to going completely online to keep the business afloat. The famous word pivot at the time. Yeah. And so my role really changed from delivering physical events to going completely online and doing digital events, still ensuring that we were bringing delegates, sponsors, stakeholders all together and connected during a time which no one had really ever experienced before. So when we first started, we had to do it very, very quickly. It took us 3 months to realize that the pandemic wasn't going anywhere, and then we used a supplier called Hopin at the time, which I have been informed as of today no longer exists.
That's the changing
of hands.
Yeah, of technology.
Changing of technology, exactly. So my role was to completely rework the way that we delivered events. Going from speaker briefings, getting people up to speed with actually being comfortable being on Zoom, being on Teams, the communication piece, making sure their internet actually allowed, or their firewall, actually allowed them to be able to connect to these different pieces of technology.
So you were getting to know things you had no idea you were going to need
very
to know
quickly, troubleshooting others.
And all breaking new ground.
Correct. Yes. So, and then today, now that we've gone into the new world of events, where we find that everyone needs everything now. There's no 2 to 3 day wait for emails or information. So it's really important that we leverage technology to be able to service clients, delegates, sponsors, exhibitors, so that they can get real-time information and not have to wait for us to be able
So
to
not only
answer
the
in
communication
person.
side, the production side
Absolutely,
as well. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
And also to be able to make us more efficient. Using a project management tool as opposed to an Excel spreadsheet, so that everyone is across everything and everything is up to speed, that they're just the changes that you have to go through, and you need to stay relevant. If you don't follow technology, you're going to fall behind.
Yeah. So thank you, Stuart. Same question for you. How important has event tech and I guess as well, would have changed a bit in the 20 years you've been doing it also?
It has changed a lot, and I've been in the technology space now for over 20 years, agency side and in-house for over 15 years, which is getting scary, and it has become more and more important in that time. It was always important from running technology events and the nature of that business, but as things have moved on, and particularly COVID and post-COVID, it has become critical. You cannot run a program if you can't measure it. If you can't demonstrate the ROI, you will not get the budget approval to run that event. So understanding that is mission critical. There's a lot of tech that creates the event experience, and then there's the measurement side. You need to understand that, you need to follow that. COVID was a fast ramp. We turned around our physical event to a digital event in 10 business days. David was part of that conversation.
That would have been quite hard, to say the least.
It was incredibly difficult because a lot of the technologies didn't really exist. Zoom was there as a little product for team meetings. It wasn't there for an event platform. And we delivered kind of a patchwork experience. So multiple platforms, multiple tabs, and people were patient at that point. So this was in March 2020. From then on, we iterated and we innovated on different platforms, and the audience became less and less tolerant of those inconsistent experiences. They wanted a single pane view with networking, with content, with video, with interaction, all the things that platforms like Hopin, Bizzabo became in time, but it wasn't there.
At the beginning.
And keeping up with that, it's another job.
And I imagine the audience quite demanding in that regard.
They became, through the COVID era, the dark ages I call it, they became less and less tolerant of their time and of their experience. So buffering, those things that were okay in March 2020 became not okay very, very quickly. And that continues to today, where people choose how they invest their time, with you or not. If they can get it online without that experience, they will. So understanding the tools in your kit bag outside of sound, light, vision, event tech is now one of those pieces, and probably in my world, the most important one. Because as I said, if you can't prove it, you can't do it.
And an interesting point which brings us on to David as well. Because obviously event tech's critical to your role, David. You've got an event tech company. So really the motivation for you to start an event tech company, what need do you think wasn't being met by the existing event tech? Because Stuart just mentioned it. In COVID, there was a whole lot of things that just didn't exist, and Alexandria as well, that they had to then invent. You in 2014 thought there was a gap there. What gap in technology did you see?
It's so interesting to hear you both talk about the journey that you've been on, and it just reminds me of the challenges that we all faced back then. And sadly, some great products have come and have gone for various reasons. But I think really what we saw back, so we've been in business since 2001, and what we saw, and we at the time were delivering technology to corporate events that was all about infrastructure. And so we were putting in, before the likes of our major venues across Australia had beautiful infrastructure to deliver wireless and various connectivity, we would go in and put in wireless connectivity, big pipes through relationships with various telcos. And what we saw is we were having great success there, but we saw these things, paper surveys still going out to people as they exited rooms. And we're like, this is crazy. Why have we got so far, so quickly with technology then, remembering it's 2001 and it's a different landscape then. How have we come so quickly to rely on Wi-Fi, for example, yet we're still at the door handing out a piece of paper? And what we came to understand is we had this great opportunity to say to CMOs, you can do things differently. Don't look at what people say on a survey that they are, because they'll answer sometimes what they think you want to hear, but actually measure their behavior. If you measure their behavior in a more passive way, it will allow us to truly understand how someone engages with content. And that will allow you then to market to them and talk to them in a more personalized way for the rest of the year, where you actually don't have the opportunity to have them in front of your best speakers. And I think that's really why we started back in 2013, 2014, 15. It's too far ago.
And it's a really interesting point, because you're now delivering or focus on delivering a better experience after the event. Stuart, both of you said that faultless experience for everyone involved before the event and during the event, and that whole integration. Are we creating higher expectations all the time? And does that put more pressure on you to know more about event technology and drive further? A quick yes or no, Alexandra? Is that,
Yep.
Yeah. So we're driving our own, and I mean, you're at the Salesforce. You're at the forefront of everything. So that connection between
one point on that broader consumer landscape also influences. So we fully expect that Spotify, Netflix, and those platforms know us and what we want and serve up content we want. That expectation bleeds into the event space. You need to know me, you need to predict what I want out of the event and serve it up to me. That's the level of expectation we see from consumer land now coming into B2B events.
Now coming in. That, so this, we might be alluding to this, but I guess the question, what has surprised you most in what you thought you would need to know at the start of your career, and what you've ended up needing to know? So if we go back to careers right at the beginning, what was your view of event technology and what is it now? So we'll start, Alexandra, again.
I think I can actually go all the way back to school. I remember being at school wondering why I needed to learn Excel and formulas, thinking I was never going to need to know that in my life, and it is one of the most used documents that I have open every single day. So I suppose that would be one of the things. Just how we would need to use it. I think I really focus on communication and ensuring that we're delivering the right comms out to our delegates, our sponsors, our exhibitors, ensuring that we're getting the information across that we need to. And it's gone from using mail merge all the way back when, which is no longer data compliant, so to actually leveraging events technology. So we use Events Air as our database, and being able to tailor communications out. Still not quite there yet with the level of tailoring that people would like to see and that we would like to be able to see. That would be a future love, of being able to do a completely tailored communications to every single person, delivering exactly what they want to their plates. So yeah, I don't think I realized how much technology would impact what I needed to do, and the delivery of events. Even when you go on site, event kiosks now, event apps, they're an expectation versus 5 years ago, trying to get someone to download an app was practically impossible and they wanted a paper copy. Whereas now they come up and they go, well, where's the app? And if you don't have one, that doesn't look great. So yeah, never did I think I would ever be doing coding in the back end of things. So
a big change.
A very big change to
big change.
what I...
Coding.
Coding.
Something you ended up doing. Okay.
Yes.
Stuart.
So going back to the very beginning of my career, grungy warehouse, early 90s, I used to organise raves. So that was an experience for an audience. And I thought at that time, and there was a pivotal moment in time where I thought, how can I turn this into a real job? So, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. instead of 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And at that point, it was sound, lighting, music, good DJs, lasers. I still have a soft spot for lasers, and all those kind of based elements of an event. Fast forward 25 plus.
Which I will say that back then, that was event technology, really.
It was.
Yeah.
We started some of the earliest laser companies in the country and gave them a shot. But fast forward, now technology and stakeholder management is core to my role. All the core elements are still there, the production elements, but stakeholder management and ensuring that we can justify what we are doing to the business and measure that post-event is core. I can't do what I do without that. I get to do amazing things, but that is through demonstration of the ROI back to the business. So understanding, and Excel is still, and spreadsheets still a huge part of this industry. So make sure that Google Suite, Excel, you have those core product. Then there are the advanced technologies. We do personalized emails, serving up content based on the individual user. That's our technology. So we're fortunate in that we own a lot of the tech to do this, but really it is stakeholder management and demonstrating the value of events that has become critical in my role.
Yeah. Interesting. So David, just from your perspective, same question, but you've been going for over 10 years now. What has behavior has driven the development of your product that you might have thought was slightly unexpected?
I don't think it's actually changed too much. And it's really about, because we were considering back then, if you take my example of survey, and it is just one type of measuring of interaction, we then understood that a business leader then was able to, with Google Analytics, for example, was paving great ways to enable leaders to be able to understand how people were engaging digitally all year. But we saw that moment of we need to be able to manage stakeholder expectations and be able to equip the business leaders to provide event teams with more money. And that comes in the same way as been discussed earlier, comes from stakeholder management, and it comes from better data to understand how people engage. So what really was the driving force then about connecting people and measuring how they interact, that hasn't changed. It's still the same thing today as it was when we first envisaged what we could do. It's just to the points earlier also, expectations are higher, not just of attendees and the more personalized experience that they want and are demanding, but also on the on client side and also in agencies. Everyone just has higher expectations because we've become more exposed to what's possible. And so just naturally our expectations are growing. I think the interesting point going back to school, and if I think today students who would be engaging with this content, it's not to get too focused on a specific technology. Don't feel like you have to learn Excel. You're going to go a long way with Excel skills, no doubt, right? We all do. We still do today, maybe a little Google Sheets in there and others, but focus on the ability to think logically about what is possible. So don't get focused deep and technical in a product, but try to learn how to connect business and technology and to ask logical questions about why is something possible? Is something possible? Because you're never going to be able to dig deep into the technologies of tomorrow or into the future necessarily. But if you give yourself a good broad ability to ask the right questions in the technology space, that will serve you well to be a great partner to people inside your event production or wherever you operate in this space.
Which brings us on to that's a very nice segue there, David. Thank you very much to the future, really. And AI, we've been talking about the experience. You can't really talk about the future without mentioning AI. So, question for anyone considering a career in events: will AI make event managers redundant?
No. Can I tell you why?
Yep.
Events are about people. And you know, and I want to go first because this is, I think, given I build technology every day to try and make our customers' experiences better, it's still a people business. Events are about connecting people, and we should never let the technology get in the way of that connection, and never allow things that may come at us through AI or technologies we haven't even imagined yet. Maybe we are imagining some behind our closed doors. We shouldn't allow that to get in the way of the fact that this is still a people business. We have to bring people together and give them, yes, more personalized experiences, but don't let technology get in the way of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuart?
It's a hard no for me. AI is not coming for our jobs, and we're at the forefront of agentic AI as a company, and it is about offloading the tasks and the busy work and leaving you to do the important work. Events are about people. COVID was a really good demonstration of a theory that had been around for a while, that virtual will never replace physical. And yes, we all moved to virtual for a period.
Had to, yeah.
Had to. Nothing replaces face-to-face. That, I knew that pre-COVID. It was kind of proven. We have come back. We are now bigger than we were in 2019 with our event programs, more people and more engagement. So it is a people business. It is a people business in how you run and plan. So partnerships are critical. We've been long-term partnership with Jomablue for all of our events, and our agencies, our vendors. That partnership is built on people. The event experience is built on connections. Post-COVID, we saw a switch from content used to be king. Now, connections is what people are coming to events for. And AI can supplement, it does not replace these things.
Replace. So, event services, similar experience for you?
Yeah, I would say no. AI will never replace an event manager. It will only enhance what we can then deliver. So it will be a tool to help us to be able to create experiences, the connections that you were referring to, but people still need that human interaction. Think about, like, it sounds so ridiculous, but you go onto a website and you want to use their AI chatbot, and you get to a point that you can no longer get the information out of it that you need. You want to talk to someone, so you pick up the phone and call or email. Yeah. So everyone is, that human interaction is never going to go away.
So conversely, so what I'm hearing is that as a aspiring event manager, use technology. Is there a danger that you could be diverted from it and not learn some of the fundamental skills of how to create connection? There is a danger that you might look to technology to do too much. Could that be?
I think that is a danger. So if you think about tools like ChatGPT, which can massage your copy for comms, our CMO coined the phrase vanilla every day. If everyone does that, everyone is going to sound and look the same. And if you rely purely on these technologies, which are large language models, ingesting all the same information, they'll start to spit out the same. Every event starts to look and feel the same, and that is not what you want. You want your event to look and feel like you, your brand, your values, your people, your products, whatever that may be. And leaning too heavily into the AI and the tech space can lead to, I think, that generic model.
Homogenization.
And people will bring that nuance to an event experience that at this point, AI tools are not going to think outside the box.
Not going to touch. From your perspective, David, so do you ever have to guide clients, pull them back slightly from having too high expectations of technology?
Do we have to pull them back? Yes, not specifically for that reason. So we have to pull them back sometimes because, well, maybe it is. So what sometimes happens is that for an event, for a large event, our system could potentially give millions of data points because we're measuring how people interact with exhibitors, how they interact with sessions, how they interact on company booths, surveys, etc. All of these data points are only data points to start with. You need to learn and apply good logic to how do you take data and gain insights from that. And so, yes, we have to pull back some people and say, you know what, that's great. We can give you all of this data, but it's year one of a very significant event and implementing Jomablue technology. Start with the basics. And this is where it comes back to people business. Let's start by applying technology to improving the attendee experience and making that as fantastic and as personalized and just as marvelous as you can. Because if they're not having the best of experience, you can have all the data in the world, you're not going to gain the business insights that you need. So yes, year one, it's people. Focus on the people experience and don't let the excitement of technology get in the way. Then build on that to gain insights from new data that you can gain in future events.
So what I'm hearing here is that technology is absolutely crucial, but there's still a big bit of magic that an event manager has to bring to the whole experience to actually make that all worthwhile.
Can I just also add something as well? I'd say, as an event student, I think it's important that you understand the fundamentals of how to do things without technology so that you understand how an event works. So something like a run sheet could easily be populated by AI now, but for you to be able to understand how to put together a run sheet, you then understand how things will then work when you're actually running the event. So it is there to help you and enhance what you can actually bring, but you do need to get those core basics down to understand the core of an event.
Good. A very valid point there. Yeah. Look, this has been great. Final question: what is your personal favorite piece of event tech, and why now? Not, we've been talking a lot about audience experience, but this is a broad question. Can be any piece of tech. So we'll start with David. Favorite piece of event tech?
Wow. Gee, where do I start? Favorite bit of event tech? There is nothing more magical than, there's nothing more magical than someone coming through a check-in experience, so their arrival experience at an event, that goes so smoothly and so seamlessly that they get their credentials and they are walking into the event and they're like, what, that's it? And I know a lot of others invest heavily in that area, and it is the most magical moment because you have the opportunity to impact someone's total experience. Their starting journey with your entire event starts with how annoyed or happy they are at getting in the door. So that needs to be very rich and it needs to be amazing. And so that remains today my favorite piece of technology. And yes, we do it. Others do it well as well. And it is the most magical moment to actually be on the floor and see that happen.
That is lovely because you're obviously a man that really enjoys what you do, and seeing your technology work after all these years still gives you pleasure. That's great.
Absolutely. The best part of my job is turning up to events.
Stuart, I fancy your answer might be lasers, but lasers aside.
Picking up on David's registration and badging, where that has come from. So I kind of grew up with trestle tables full of pre-printed badges, the dreaded handwritten badge, the dreaded cues around first name, surname, to today, which is with Jomablue, Apple Wallet QR code, scan, print the badge. That is ready for them when they walk the 17 steps that have been counted out, ready, and they are in. That is your first touch of the day. If it is a poor experience, it sets the tone, and that is mission critical. But other technologies, LED, again, coming from the projector days, blending, focusing, love LED. But the biggest thing that has an impact for me over the past 8-9 years has actually been 3D. So going back, I think it was 2017, we had an executive walkthrough of our event the night before, and there was a wholesale change made during that walkthrough that cost time, money, everything to reprint about 100 metres of walling. From that point on, we now create our entire event in 3D. It is now built in Unreal Engine, which is the platform that Fortnite is, the game is built in. And a couple of weeks out from the event, we walk our executives through the space in 3D, literally moving around, walking, looking at different angles. And we make changes then to signage, to positioning in the expo, and we catch it whilst it's still in 3D and nothing has been produced. Then we go to production. So then the exec walkthrough the night prior, there are no surprises, there are no changes.
They've got it in their mind already.
Absolute.
They're seeing exactly what they expect.
Absolute game changer for me.
So, and that presumably is a bit of an investment to build it in 3D, but the investment is worthwhile because it's an awful lot cheaper than reprinting.
Correct. It is
100
cheaper.
meters
That's
of wall.
the value conversation I have around that line item in the budget is the 2017 example and what that cost us the night before to go to the printer and say I need 100 metres of walling redone, to render is cheaper than that.
Yeah.
So it is a big exercise. It is a huge event. We have a lot of physical items that we build and render, and they are all going to be created in 3D. This is then inserting them into the platform to build the event. So ICC fully mapped out. It's super cool. We did it on VR goggles a couple of times. That was fun. Throws a few people out, but it is
Bumped into a few walls.
Yes, that can happen. But that is event, or that's consumer technology in the event space making a significant impact on the way we run the show.
And presumably it has quite a bit of a psychological impact on preparing for the show as well, because you know what you're walking into, which is a great positive. Alexandra?
I would say in the lead up, it's that communication piece of being able to have instant communication out through emails, personalised, that type of thing. On site, I would probably say the app. It allows real-time information. The amount of times that I've been on site and you've got your program book that there's a typo that is that's been put in there, or you have to send it to print a week out. So therefore, when you get on site, the program's changed 5 times already, and you got little sticky notes to try and fix it. So being able to make those real-time updates, as well as being able to push those push notifications out to get information out to people. People are so used to those notifications coming up on their phone, but also being able to, for sponsors as well, being able to get them to the booths, to the exhibitors, all of that side of things. It's that real-time communications and saying, please go back into sessions, and not having that bell go off overhead.
Or running around
yes,
with a little bell.
I have done that quite a few times.
So a bit more power to the event manager then in that whole process. And are you surprised when clients still say, I want to print something? Or are you?
Yes, but more from a sustainability point of view, as opposed to not the embracing technology point of view. I appreciate the want and need for some people to want that printed version, but if you've got program books of 1,000, 2,000, etc., that are out of date, that people just leave behind, that are not necessarily recycled, that's where my surprise comes from, is looking after
the whole lot of printed stuff.
Yes.
Well, look, that has been That has been fabulous. As an old AV guy, I'm disappointed that people didn't mention instant replay systems enough or anything else, but lasers did get a mention, so that is good. So I'd like to say to you all, thank you so much for your time. And I think the answer to the question, how important is it to understand event technology to advance your career as an event professional? It's pretty critical. Unanimous with the panel here. So an event manager not knowing event tech is like a chef not knowing about kitchens. You're really not going to be able to do your job. So I'm Rob Vass from Joy Events, signing off on the Event Tech panel. Thank you very much.